Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning today in Durban, and welcome to another episode of Extraordinary People, where I talk to extraordinary people that I know and met over time that actually have value to add in the world. They might not be as famous as other people are, but have a lot to share with the world that actually matters. So thank you for joining the live. I know that Instagram is now inviting a lot of people in. We have our guest today. We go straight into it. Nixon James comes clean. Please give her a follow after this. I've now accepted. Hopefully she joins in. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited to talk about this today.
Yes. I'm super excited as well because I think we had a chat the first time we met about this topic, and you had a lot of info and was really insightful the conversation. So I'd love for people to get some of your insight and just also me learn again from you. So I think the topic today is pretty much going to be circled around gut health and sustainable living. And I think I'd rather let you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then you can go straight into the topic.
Perfect. Should I start?
Sweet. Yes, go for it.
Okay, so basically I'm a nutritionist and I took a good interest in gut health because although I studied
Sorry, I
Can you
think
hear me?
I think your signal is struggling. I don't know if you can get a better connection or
How about now? You still
okay.
struggling?
Yeah, I'm still struggling a little bit, but I think just try go ahead. Maybe hopefully it will clear up. I'll
Okay,
stop you if
I've
it's not.
actually got a little setup here, so I'll have to just unplug it quick.
Sorry.
Okay, let's go somewhere else. Where's the best signal? It's not very good. Might have to reset the router because this is where the best signal is, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. That's totally fine. If you want to reset the router, what I can do is in the meantime I can just chat to people on the live, and then you can come back in. I think we totally lost you there. Okay. I'm just gonna let her go, and then hopefully she can come back in. Cool. Yeah, so we just had some signal problems with Nixon James comes clean, but she'll be back just now. Hopefully sorting out the router problems. If you guys can just keep some patience with her, that'd be appreciated. What I can do is I can have a quick chat with you guys about some of the thoughts that I had recently from a previous episode, and just how it sat with me. We discussed something in the previous episode with engineer Steve Gray, or actually what he prefers to call himself, a passionate innovator, was this idea that humans shouldn't look at themselves as machines, but rather as organic creatures. With that said, if you think about it, you'd be less harsh on yourself when you look at yourself as an organic creature, because if we look at ourselves as machines, like Nixon's back, hopefully she can join. I'll have a chat later about that. Hopefully the signal works out perfectly this time. Hey.
Hello. Is this better?
Yes, a lot better.
Phew. Okay, good.
Sweet. So
I don't
yeah,
know if I interrupted you there, if you were talking
no,
about something. I don't know if you want to finish off, or do you want me
No,
to?
no, no. Don't worry about that. I was just recapping from the previous episode. So what we do is I upload this onto YouTube, podcasts, and a whole lot of platforms, so people can ask questions, even after the fact, on IGTV, on YouTube, on any of the podcasts. If they want to ask questions, they can, and I'll tag you on those questions if they need you to answer them. But mainly, as long as we have this conversation and it exists now, then it can be something that lives forever after this. So, yeah, I think go straight into it, and you can start with the topic. Oh,
Cool.
sorry, introduce yourself first.
Okay, well, I'm a nutritionist, and I'm specializing in gut health because I've realized that gut health is actually essentially, well, gut health is health because it's not just to do with your diet, it's more of a lifestyle. And yeah, I'll talk about why in a few minutes. But basically, gut health is the function and the balance of bacteria in your GI tract. And this results in like a good digestive system and optimal absorption of nutrients. So yeah, and there's a term I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, like your gut feeling, or listen to your gut, and that's because your gut is actually your second brain. So what it is your gut is linked to your brain directly through your vagus nerve, and it's a two-way highway. So if your gut, it's so your gut sends signals to your brain and vice versa. So if your gut is unhappy, it's going to send unhappy signals to your brain, and that could lead to like mental illnesses or anxiety, depression, brain fog, so on and so forth, and vice versa. If you're not in a good state of mind, it's going to send signals to your guts, and that's what's going to cause essentially like IBS or bloating, uncomfortability. So that's what gut health is. Another cool fact is 90% of your serotonin, which is your happy hormones, live in your gut. So we need to keep our guts happy, and how we do that, there's a whole list of things. Eating fermented foods, exercising, and I know a lot of people like they hate the word exercise. I like to use the word movement because slow movement equals slow digestion. So you don't have to go and do these vigorous workouts, all these like HIIT training or like lifting heavy weights. You can honestly just go for a 30-minute walk in the morning, just to, you know, get clarity in the mind, get your body moving, get your digestive system working.
Yeah.
We also need to up our fiber intake, but there is a huge confusion with that because when you eat more fiber, it can also do the opposite. So we also need to consider that drinking water is essential as well. And it's also another annoying topic. Drink water. And everyone's like, yes, mom, like, but really drink water, because that is also, it's just going to help everything move in your digestive system. Yeah. Is there anything else?
That was perfect. There was heavy like a glitchiness with the signal, but I could hear what you were saying. So I'm gonna try and repeat it in case like people. I'm gonna repeat it to you and tell me where I'm wrong, and then I think just to help people understand if they couldn't hear properly. So basically, from what you said, it's a two-way system. So like our gut health is linked to our brain. And like how our brain responds to things and how like feels and all this stuff is very much affected by what is going on with our gut. And I think you point out saying 90% of our happy what do you call it?
Hormones. Serotonin.
Happy hormones, yes. Happy hormones are found in the gut.
Yes.
And I can agree with this when I have a very nice meal. I'm super happy, like a baby. But but it's like, yeah, it's something that seems now that when you point it out, it seems obvious, but it's not so obvious when you think about it on a daily basis. How much like our stomach or how we eat affects our moods
Yeah,
and affects like the state of mind that we in on a consistent basis. And I think you also pointed out the exercise elements as well, because a lot of people don't like well, not that they don't like it. Think they like the idea of exercise,
yes.
but don't like doing it and actually having to getting it done. And I love the way that you pointed out, it doesn't have to be something that's strenuous, it doesn't have to be something that's hectic. It's something as simple as taking a walk. Because I've noticed as well for me sometimes that when I'm in a slump, a simple walk, not even, I don't even have to walk outside of my yard, just a walk around uh, like my yard, just up and down actually does make a difference. And it makes a huge difference as opposed to just sitting and trying to like grind through something, especially when I'm struggling with something uh, on the computer or I'm working with something and it's frustrating me. Um, so
Definitely.
it's it's crazy how it's all linked in terms of the whole mental health. So how do we protect our gut health? Like like I think let's get to the specifics. Like what are the things we can do to maintain a healthy gut? I think you're breaking up again. Oh no. I think we're losing her again. Oh no. Sorry guys. I'm just gonna let her join back in. If you can hear me or hear what I'm saying, just yeah, leave and then try and join back in. Sweet. So yeah, I'm gonna keep talking about what she was talking about. So she did point out that a lot of things that happen in our gut affect our brain and affect our moods and affect how we act throughout the day. Um, so we need to take steps to protect that, which she's going to give us the tips just now on how we can do that.
I'm
Hey,
back.
again.
Sorry. Okay, so there are like a few things to maintain a good gut. One of them is super simple, is to chew your food. And I think a lot of people can say that they don't chew enough. And you're actually supposed to chew 20 to 30 times before swallowing. And
What?
that sounds like a lot, but it'd be the best possible solution to your gut health.
Wow.
Another thing, yeah, another thing is being mindful. So I know everyone's on the go all the time with work, and the one thing we forget to do is actually take time to eat our food. So
Yeah.
literally, if you're at work and you have your 30-minute lunch break, leave your phone, go get your food, go outside and just take it in. Like it sounds a bit, like airy fairy, just take it in. But seriously, like it's your one time to just relax and eat. And that's what you
Yeah.
should do is even if you're eating your food and you're seeing all the colors and you're admiring the taste, the smell, the look of it, like that's being mindful and actually appreciating what you're putting into your body. Because essentially we want to put the good nutrients into our body, but we also need to make sure that our mind is also there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that I mentioned now is a colorful food plate. So you heard the term eat the rainbow. We need to keep our guts diverse,
Yeah.
because this is another thing that's also been quite a big issue is COVID is kind of restricting us to have a diverse microbiome, with all the sanitizer and
Mm.
being very like careful of hygiene and stuff. It's
Yeah.
actually not so good because we need bacteria. We need
Yeah.
to like build up an immunity, and 70% of immunity is in your gut. So now what's happening is we trying to stay away from bacteria because it's bad, and you could possibly contract, COVID. But
Yeah.
this is exactly why we need to eat the rainbow, because if we're not going to be getting our hands dirty per se, we need to be eating all the different food groups to just keep our microbiome diverse. So try keep
Okay.
your plate colorful, make sure it looks pretty, if that helps. And then
Yeah.
in terms of food as well, we also need to make sure that we are getting the right amount of probiotics and prebiotics. So earlier I
Yeah.
said fermented foods. That's usually what probiotics consist of. So like your kefir, your yogurts, tofu, tempeh, all so good for putting good bacteria back into your gut. And then you have prebiotics, and those are more like your high fiber antioxidant foods. So things like garlic, onion, dates, leeks, asparagus, like very high fiber but very nutrient dense foods.
Yeah. I mean, I think you kept it very simple, and I love it when it's simple and like straightforward and how to like uh to deal with certain issues, because then it makes it more attainable for people. And that whole rainbow concept of eating colorful plates. Um, I do know that personally, like I've started paying attention to it. I think it was after our chat, uh, but it's something that I never really cared for or thought about before in terms of like how I ate. It was pretty much like I like this and I like that. Keep it simple, and I just
Yes.
have those two things, and I don't need to add any extras. Uh, why do I need to even stress myself about adding extra stuff? And it's crazy how simple it is now that I've picked up the habit of just adding extra things that add flavor. It actually adds some good flavor to the food,
Exactly.
and some interesting taste as well. And it's like, and it doesn't like take away from what I usually used to like eating. Like for example, one of the things I love eating is like lentil curry.
Mm.
So like when
Yes.
I make lentil curry, it's like now I can just add some some peas, some butternut, some like just, and those extra little bit of colors uh like actually have nutritional benefit, and they actually taste good.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's like I used to think like, oh no, I'm gonna spoil something I like. I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of training and just being aware. Um, so with those things that you mentioned, like, I want to talk about the probiotics, because I've like obviously uh, heard a lot about probiotics. I used to think that probiotics were just something you buy in the chemist when you have like stomach problems, and
You can actually make
you
it
have,
yourself. It's so
yeah.
easy.
So that's why I want to talk about them. I actually want to. What are the ones you could recommend? Because once I've done research and I found out about probiotics, I found out like even something as simple as apple cider vinegar acts as a probiotic.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So what can you advise about that? Like, how do you make them? How did they work for you?
So all the nutrients in like your garlics and your onions and all of that is best to eat it raw. That's why the sauerkraut, kimchi, those are all actually raw ingredients fermented
Yeah.
and into the fridge. So I personally like making my own.
Okay.
I can maybe even after today I can send people a recipe if they would like. Just it's so simple, and the best thing about it is that it ferments in the fridge, and it doesn't really matter because it's going to be there anyways. Like you don't need to go to the store or stress about it. But there are also a
Yeah.
few great brands that also have good sources of sauerkraut or kimchi. Even kombucha is really good, but
Yeah.
some of them are actually very high in sugar, which you need to be careful of, because the way to activate the culture, the live culture in the kombucha is to add sugar, unfortunately. So you need to choose a good kombucha with a low amount of sugar. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I love that you actually touched on sugar, because I think before we move on to the sustainable living topic, I just want to touch on sugar, because I'm not gonna lie, like that's my biggest vice that I just try to like completely cut out, and then it's like I struggle, and I say, okay, no, like I just need to control it, and I have controlled it to like a certain extent, and I'm very aware of what type of sugar like I put into my body. What can you tell me about sugar that I need to be aware of? Because I try to focus on natural sugar, like just I don't go for the white
The
sugar,
refined
like
sugars, yes.
refined sugars. Like I
So
avoid them. Like
yeah, sugar actually deteriorates the lining of your gut. So it's one of the biggest no-nos. Like another thing is that it will spike your insulin, and
and
then it
yeah,
will drop. So you could become like diabetic, or you could suffer from high blood pressure, because sugar is just not great. And there is a time and place to use maybe high glycemic foods. So yes, eating natural sweeteners is best, like your maple syrup, agave, dates, pineapple. They all like super high in sugar, but there's also a way to consume them without it affecting our bodies, and that is actually after a workout, because when you work out, your sugar levels obviously drop, and
yeah,
you need to bring them back up again. So if you are concerned about it, the best time to eat like a higher glycemic food is after a workout. But other than that, I think you should rather just go for like low glycemic, like your berries, yeah, pretty much berries.
yeah,
Yeah, and just keep it simple. And also another thing is, when your gut is healthy and happy, your sugar cravings tend to go away, which is what I found
yeah,
for myself. Yeah.
yeah. That is true. Like I think with exercising, a lot of things go away. Actually, it is a nice way of keeping like bad habits away, because exercising does release certain things in your brain that just allows you to be in another level.
Yes.
I don't know the science of it. I might talk to someone one day about that and try to figure it out. But it's one thing that I found with me with sugar, and the struggle that I have with sugar, is that I feel like obviously I feel like it's a drug. Number one,
It
number
is.
two, it's
It's
like
actually more addictive than cocaine, they
there
say.
we go. There we go. So I am right in saying it's a drug. So I'm an addict in some
You
form.
are an addict. It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm here. I'm
yeah,
here for
you know.
you.
Yeah. So part of the issue that I have with it is that I can go periods like I go through like a complete detox, and I tell my partner this, and she's obsessed with sugar. Like, I'm sorry for exposing her, but she loves
Oh,
sugar. And she's like, yeah, next level with it. And it's like she's always got snacks hidden away everywhere. And like right now, like I'm looking at a couple of the snacks that are hidden away, and it's like it's like I have this thing where it's like, okay, I go a month, 2 months with the sugar detox, and I avoid sugar completely. And it's like then it's like I'm looking at the snack, and then I'm like, okay, let me take like one bite, and
no, it's
can
never
I
one
have some,
bite.
can I just have, and then it's like just next thing I know, I finish a whole box, and it's like,
Yeah, you're in it
and
now, so you got to finish it.
yeah, exactly. So and the other thing is that it's not as obvious as it seems, because it's like, for example, I'm looking at some biscuits right now, and the digestives, and digestive cell themselves is this
Oh
whole
yeah, because they say
whole
digestive there.
yeah. The name sounds good, and it's like it's whole wheats, and it's got all these things that are like the keywords make you think it's healthy, and it's dark chocolate as well, which I love. I'm obsessed with dark chocolate, but then it's like I know that if I have one, I'm gonna want to have like a lot more, and it's like
100%.
and that's not good. And I know very well, as much as I can lie to my brain and say, you know, this is not that bad, I know it's bad. And it's like, what is it about like sugar that just, oh, I think you pointed out, it's addictive.
It's very addictive.
So how do you deal with that? Like, is there a natural way of dealing with that, of getting like, get rid of that craving, or treat that craving with something else that's better?
Yes, so one of the things that I actually did myself, because I had a sweet tooth of notes. Like I literally could not go a day without having half a slab of chocolate. And yeah, always had sugar in my coffee or whatever, maple syrup, still a
Mm.
sweetener. Um, and the thing that I found out was I was actually lacking like carbohydrates. So I
Mm.
started eating more grains. Um, I'm sure you'll feel like if you go out to have a nice, let's say like a nice pasta, you're not gonna be like, ooh, now I need something sweet. Like,
Mm.
or maybe you do, I don't know. But one of the ways that I stopped eating so much sugar was if I wanted that snack or that chocolate, I must make it myself. Now, I don't really have much time in the day to make anything myself. So when it came to the point
Okay.
where I was like, oh, I really need a chocolate, then I'd be like, oh, but I gotta make it. Oh, do I need it? No.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah. I
kind of
see.
just have to tell yourself no. Um, but like I said,
Yeah.
if you're gonna be eating right, eating the rainbow, having your probiotics, your prebiotics, um, nutrient timing after workouts, you're gonna get the sugar in, and you're actually not gonna want to crave it. Because the less you do something, the less you want it.
Okay. I see what you mean. There's already a tip there that you said that like resonates with me, was the whole make it yourself, and then you'll
You won't
realize
want to make it.
use it less. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that's actually like a very, I think that's a hack that will work for me personally, because it's kind of like the whole thinking when I was having this chat with Steve, who's the engineer and the founder of the Makerspace, and he's got this whole like heavy like knowledge when it comes to sustainable living and taking care of the planet, and just like giving back. And he said the biggest problem with plastic is that the cost of plastic is not given on to the people using it, and they feel
Yeah,
like it's okay. And if you had to give them the cost, the real cost, to say, okay, what this is the cost of retrieving this plastic afterwards, of dealing with the plastic and getting rid of it so it doesn't impact the planet. And if you had to attribute that cost onto the people buying plastic, they would not use plastic at all. They'll be like, okay, this thing costs too much. I'd rather just go somewhere else and do something else. And
yeah,
it's because that cost is not put onto them that they don't feel the pressure to change. And because there's a real cost to it, because when you throw away the plastic, or when that plastic is done, there's another, the cost is taken on by someone else, the planet, because the planet's the one that has to deal with this plastic that can't uh, that's not biodegradable, that can't be dealt with, and is super difficult to reuse and to make functional again. So
yeah.
it's
That's
like,
the thing. It's like all your snacks that you're looking at, your biscuits, it's all
mm,
in a container. It's all in plastic, or you know, even the things that are sold in cardboard, they have a plastic film over so that they can
yeah,
last longer. So nothing really is sustainable bought in the store. So maybe think of it that way, like you're going to be
yeah,
supporting, something that you don't really believe in just because you want a snack.
Exactly.
And the scary
So it's
thing
just the motivation.
is
Yeah.
Durban does not have a recycling plant. So here we
Yeah.
are having our 3 separate bins for paper, plastic, and normal rubbish. And the rubbish guy comes and it all goes in the same place, because I think Joburg and Cape Town, they got it down. But Durban, there's not, like, we recycling, but it's not actually being recycled. Like, it's actually just being dumped. And it's really sad.
The plants here. Sorry.
Pardon?
Yeah. You're breaking up there. You're saying that there's no recycling plants in Durban.
No.
So you're telling me that all the recycling centers that we have here,
Just
that
go
stuff
to the dump. Yeah.
ends up at the dump.
Yeah.
I need to actually look into that, because that's something I like. I've now been heavily involved with taking stuff to recycling centers here.
Yes.
And
But nothing's being done about it.
And I didn't even know that. So I'd love for you to just share that information with me, so I can also like investigate it and actually get it, like, something done about it. Because then it's just misleading. It's heavily misleading.
I know.
And it's part of the reason why I pointed out the fact that especially when we're doing these like cleanups and stuff, is that recycling is not the solution. It's something that can help, but it barely does anything, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's still, there's a cost to recycling. Even the stuff that gets recycled, there is a cost to it that costs the planet and costs the manufacturers and costs everybody to actually recycle. So it's not really solving any problem. It's consumption that's the issue. It's our need to always need something new and not reuse and
Yes.
and not understand that something is not just to be used once and just discarded and thrown away, because there's no place that's called away. It's still here.
Yes.
It's just not in your sight. And I think people feel better when it's not in their sight. But it's like, that thing that you just used is now a part of this planet and will continue to be a part of this planet and needs to be dealt with, but you are not dealing with it as the person who decided to consume it or use it.
Yes.
So you need to be aware of what you're using all the time. And I think we can now segue into sustainable living, and we can now discuss that, because it naturally just came in perfectly. What's sustainable living for you? Like, how does that look for you?
So I must be honest, sustainable living, it's really difficult if you're really going to stick to it. So I just try my best and do what I can where I can. So for example, like, instead of going and supporting grocery stores that have plastic carrier bags, either go to the store and take your own carry bag, like get your own shopping bag, or go to the farmer's market every Saturday. It's fresh, it's seasonal, it's all, it's done, I feel, organically, or the farmer's markets, their produce and stuff. Because what a lot of grocery stores are doing now is they're trying to make all fruit seasonal, and it's not right. I mean, it's not done naturally. You shouldn't be getting avos all year round. They're a winter fruit, so you should only be getting them now, and there they are all the time. So do your research and see what is in season. And another thing that I have started doing is glassware over plasticware. And I know people say, like, yeah, I've got a plastic water bottle and it stays in the fridge, but one day you're going to throw that plastic bottle away. So where's it gonna go? So just changing all of your Tupperware to glassware. I know straws also, like, get a steel straw or a glass straw, and maybe even going on Netflix and getting a little bit more information about what's actually going on, because there's a lot of people preaching about, like, living sustainably and doing this and doing that, and people don't really like to be told, like, who's this little girl telling me I must get glassware? Like, go do your own research. Like,
that's
there's a
so
great
true.
there's a great documentary on Netflix, the David Attenborough one. I mean, I know a lot of these documentaries are like a little bit over the top, but sometimes you need to actually see that to realize what's going on. And once I watched that, I was shook. I was like, damn, I need to actually start researching about sustainable living and how am I gonna, do my part. So
Yeah. I mean,
people
yeah,
just
I mean,
choose
that's,
to be oblivious, and it's annoying. Like, you're not entitled, like we all living under the same planet, so we all need to
yeah,
work together. So
yeah, I mean, definitely, what you're saying is so true. It's overwhelming for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people uh, don't want to hear it because of how overwhelming it is, and the fact that they don't want to feel bad about themselves in the
yes,
sense of, oh, so they'd rather attack you as a person, say, who are you? Why are you telling me? Like, you're not perfect neither, which we are, none of us are. Like,
no,
and I'm very like clear about that, and I want people to understand that when I tell you like these things about like sustainable living, and I tell you about these things that I've learned, it's I'm only telling you so that you can maybe do something with the information and hopefully do your own research on it.
yeah,
But I'm not telling you to get it perfect. I just need you to know so that you can start like looking into it and seeing how you can like adjust certain behaviors and hopefully get to a position where you are uh, like compensating your deficits. So it's like, like the whole thing when, because you're a nutritionist, obviously, this whole like meal deficit thing. I forgot what it's called, the exact
yeah,
name
that's
for it,
right.
where it's a calorie deficit, and that's how
Yes,
you lose weight and you're able to maintain your weight. You have a certain amount. Like, we just need to get to that balance, I guess, of how much am I like putting out into the world that's bad, and how can I like mitigate my footprint. So it's just a
I
matter of
agree.
mitigating your own footprint, because once you're born, you have this footprint. There's nothing you can do
Yeah,
about it. It's done. And also, I think we spoke about this like a little bit, and I know it's a touchy subject for a lot of people, and this is like with no judgment at all to anybody that has like a lot of kids and people that want to have a lot of kids. Uh, but like, I think a lot of people don't realize that just like having a child in this world is a huge impact on the planet.
yeah,
Um, and it's something you need to consider before you have like many children, beyond the psychological effects of having many children, because you're not going to be able to take care of all of them, number one, in terms of their needs as human beings and the attention they would need. So it's something that I think people need to start considering when having children, or adding to the population of the planet, as we know that it's overpopulated as is, and the struggle for resources is like, so it's getting bad, because like right now we're sitting on, I think, 7 billion uh in the population, but
yeah,
I think the science of it was, it took us 50 years what took us 2,000 years or something like that, like 50 years to
yes,
double the number that took us 2,000 years to do. So if we're looking at that science, it's good. So in the next 20, 30 years, we can like double this population. Like, it can be, we're sitting on 14 billion, and 15 billion, and then it's gonna be a real problem. And people don't realize that it starts now, and
yeah,
just being aware.
and even if you are going to have a child, make sure you bring him or her up knowing what is actually going on.
Yes,
Teach them the right things.
teach
Like,
them the right
don't,
things. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, one of
there's
the
a
things
heavy
that kids,
obligation, and I think people forget that. I think because we've been sold this dream of, children are such a blessing. Just have children, and it's going to be this perfect life, and everything is beautiful. It, it's kind of like heavy marketing on one end, but nobody actually looks at the other end of how much time can you really spend on this child? Because there's a cost element in taking care of this child. There's a cost element to this. You're going to have to work. So you're going to have to rely on the school system to raise this child, or your community to raise this child. But how does the school system and the community look like? Are they raising good children out there? And then like you leave in society to raise your kids, but is society in such a condition that it can raise your kids? So I think a lot of people just need to take those things into thought, because you have this responsibility once you create this being to be there all the time and be responsible for whatever happens with this being. You know, it's like I think, and it's like I'm saying, like I don't want to judge people. It's not about judging people, because I think children are a beautiful thing as well. But it's like, I think people forget the responsibility that comes with the child, the heavy responsibility, and they need to start like advertising that more. I feel like in society or the media when they talk about children, versus this thing of no, don't worry, the community will raise your kid. Community doesn't have it right now. Like it's not it's not the you know, it's like, and if you wanted to rely on someone else doing that job, they might really mess up your kid, and then your kid becomes the problem in society. I think some parents get shocked when they like grow old and they're like, what happened to you? You're such an evil child, or you're such a bad seed. What happened to you? Like the rest of us got it right. The rest of us are, but you find it was simple thing of you didn't have time to give that child. You didn't have you relied on society, and society is the one that messed up your kid. And it just could be the friends, could be the school, could be the teachers, could be anything else out there that influenced your child to be this negative impact, even though you might not be a problem yourself. And that's an important factor you need to consider. Can you, as the parent, allow that to happen? Or do you take the time to teach your kid, or say, okay, I have 2 kids or 1 kid, so I can take the time to raise them right, to be a good impact on this planet.
Yes.
You know? And it's like, yeah, so it's like a difficult conversation, but I think a lot of people need to hear that conversation, because it's not being advertised at all. And I think it's because it comes off like judgy. It sounds judgy, but I'm really coming from a non-judgy place. I'm just coming from a real perspective. So I grew up in a big family. I grew up with like a lot of kids being raised. And I know that my parents meant well and like really genuinely wanted the best for us. But it's like a lot of the kids end up, even myself, had to figure it out ourselves, like figure out the world ourselves. And it's not easy for us. And it's like, once you're here, you don't have a choice. You're going to have to figure out things yourself. And I was lucky to figure out some things, but it's like, when I look at around my circles and stuff, a lot of kids don't get the same opportunities I had to be able to figure out things the right way. And even then, I'm still figuring out a lot. You know, it's like, it's not easy to figure out by yourself versus having someone there to hold your hand and say, okay, hey, look this way. This is maybe a better way of doing things. Now we got documentaries and stuff, but there's no guarantee that every kid is going to watch a documentary to figure out things. You know, like not every kid's going to listen to a podcast like this to figure out things. You know, it's like you teach us about gut health. This is not something that's right now glamorized. A kid would rather go watch MTV or watch some ridiculous podcast about some guy who's talking about how rich he is and how much money he has and all the girls he sleeps with and how like he's the most popular and got the most ice and jewelry and stuff. And that kid is now thinking that's what I need, and is frustrated with themselves because they don't have that. And they're like, how do I get that? And then it's like they go on this whole like journey of trying to get all of that stuff, and when they get it, they're unhappy, and they don't know why they're unhappy because they never actually stop to say, you know, I need to take care of my gut health. You know, like my gut my gut is bad right now. Like I've been drinking and smoking and I'm not worrying about this, and that's why I've never been happy this entire time. I got the money, I got the girls, I got this, but I never took care of my gut. And it's like, but you understand what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's something so crazy. But yeah, it's really I really enjoyed having this chat with you. I try
Me
to close
too.
up the chat before like Instagram kicks us off, because it kicks us off after an hour.
Okay.
So I'll just go back, and I think some of the questions, I'll try and catch some here. So someone was like, I thought maple syrup was unhealthy. I think you dealt with that and said that it's one of the better sugars.
Yeah, he's probably thinking of maple flavored syrup that they sell. Because if you go and get proper organic maple syrup, it's like 130 rand for a little thing like this. Because it's obviously straight from the tree, from the maple tree. Maple flavored syrup is literally just sugar syrup that tastes like maple syrup. So don't get them confused. Yeah, and it's also vegan. Doesn't kill the bees. So I actually prefer to use maple syrup over the honey.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't kill the bees. Let's talk about that actually.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes. Let's talk about
let's
this.
talk about that. Yes. Honey, because I noticed I also picked up you didn't mention honey. Is honey bad? Like is it like it kills the bees?
No, okay, look, like it doesn't kill the bees, but the bees essentially, once those guys are dead, we all dead. Like they are top of the food chain. And just the way that farmers are producing.
Yeah.
So my thing is not to eat honey, but rather to, this is actually just a general thing. Like people are like, I'm just going to talk about going vegan as well. Like, yes, going vegan is great, but also it's just all about living sustainably, because if all of us now are going to only fixate on eating this food, it's going to, you know, it's not going to be sustainable. Like, for example, almond milk. I saw an article the other day that in America, they are taking down all the what is the word? Plantations where the pollen flowers are that bees get the you know, the nectar and stuff. So that's actually killing the bees' food. You know, like that's where they get all the nectar and pollination. So it's not like don't eat honey, go vegan. You know, it's just literally eat in moderation and eat what's in season.
Consumption definitely. Because it's crazy what you're pointing out is like I've been a person who's always grown up with this mentality that titles are bad. I hate titles. Yet I've found that in this world there's an obsession with titles, and it's necessary to achieve a certain level of understanding or attention, because people want to understand things quickly, even though they're very much more complex than a title could ever explain. And it's like the title of vegan. Like I'm technically a vegan right now.
It's a good foundation. It is.
And
Plant-based is
it's like,
a good foundation.
And it's crazy because the reasons that I am a vegan are very complex, and they're very like multiple reasons of living that lifestyle. But I hate the title, because the title comes with this like misconception and this idea that, okay, so everything is all good as long as it doesn't have an effect on it's not an animal byproduct, animal byproduct, but it's not cognizant of what you just mentioned now, of the whole thing of well, you still have to live sustainably even though you might be vegan. You still have to be aware of your health, even though you might be vegan. Because a lot of misconceptions that happen with people when they think vegan, they think healthy, and they think when
Yes.
you're vegan, it's automatically healthy. Yes, there's more likelihood that you're gonna be healthy because your choice is limited to more healthy stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that I've seen in stores, and like I've gone out and found that is vegan, but is very bad for me.
Oh yeah.
And very so it's like I find that it's so hard because like some people when they see that sign vegan or they see the V, they think, oh yeah, this is healthy. Like I had this conversation with a friend a while ago. And he's like, oh bro, I'm healthy now, bro. I'm eating all this vegan stuff. I'm like, yo, do you understand what you're just eating? It's got so much sugar. It's bad.
Or
But
my
he's like,
favorite
it's
thing
vegan.
is you'll buy something vegan, but it's in plastic. It's packaged in plastic. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't understand.
yeah, exactly. So it's like you just gotta. I think it's a matter of being aware. Like that's the main goal.
And being
If
mindful.
mindful, yes, and
Yeah.
just being like, oh, just being there. Like I think there's the whole thing that Buddhists always talk about being present. And you just got to be present. You can't just be like, oh, I'm grabbing that. It fits the title, or I'm just taking that because it fits the title. You got to be able to think for yourself and be aware when you're talking or listening to someone about what they're saying, and be able to say, does this make sense? Am I just taking it because it fits the profile, or it fits what is expected of this, you know? And it's like, I know it's difficult, but it's something that I think makes a huge difference versus this thing of titles of, so because you are now this, you are the solution. You perfect. You're
Yes.
animal lover. You know, it's like, no, it does not mean that. You know, it's like you just mentioned now. If you do care about the animals, or you do care about animals, almond milk, you would reduce your consumption of almond milk. And and the thing is, like for example, with almonds, I'll use the example. Almond milk right now, it's like they say there's equivalent of 2 almonds in almond milk anyway. So maybe not almond
Yes.
milk,
It's
but your use
2%.
of almonds. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, so you got to be like that aware to be able to say, okay, cool. So almond milk might not be the problem, but almonds as a whole, I need to just be able to be aware that this is, how do I reduce that impact? Go on Google, figure out how do I reduce it. That's something I'm going to Google now. And I think people
Yeah.
need to start using the tools they have to figure out solutions and just be aware. You know what I mean? And every time you learn something, don't take it in a negative way. Take it in a way as, how can I use that knowledge?
Yes.
Because, you know, like I just said to you, like I use almond milk every day, like in my pretty much everyday life. And
Yeah.
it's something that I need to now do research properly and say, how am I contributing to that problem that you just made me aware of?
But that's the
And
thing is
how
like,
do I fit into it?
don't not have it now. But what I'm trying to say is change it up. Like, okay,
Yeah,
cool. Almond milk this week when the
maybe oat
Carson's
milk.
finished, I'll get coconut milk. After that, then I'll
Yeah,
get oat milk, you know, like just
yeah,
don't fixate on something because an advert tells you to. Oh, honey's bad. Okay, I'm never going to eat honey again. Like people just love to grab, like you said, the title thing. They love to grab on something, but not even know like what it's doing around you. I mean, if we all ate the same thing and we all did the same thing, we wouldn't have any food.
yeah. That's true. That's very true. Cause like, yeah, you need that diversity, and like you said, like it's overconsumption. It's like,
Yeah.
if we all, like you said, if we all obsessed with almond milk right now, there's gonna be an impact because everyone is now on almond milk when there's other choices and other industries that do the same function of actually help the same thing that you want to achieve. And based on what you were saying, maybe it will help your gut health as well because there's now something different in your belly,
There you go.
creating diversity. You know, like so it's and it's funny how like your body or the world rewards you for doing things like this. That's another thing that I've learned with
Yes,
sustainable living.
dopamine, mental
Yeah,
health.
yeah, you know, it's crazy. Like when you start doing things that are right for you, or right for the planet, or right that are actually good for you, after a while you start like just being better at a lot of other things that you didn't expect, you know,
Exactly.
and just living better as a whole. Uh, and your relationship with people and your partner just does better. And it's crazy how it's all interlinked. And it's how I think God designed the planet, is that everything should be interlinked so that we're aware of how we treat others, because it comes back to us.
100%.
Yeah. So again, really appreciate this chat.
Me
If
too.
anyone has any questions, yes, if anyone has any questions, feel free to post them in the IGTV comment section, or the YouTube comment section, or anywhere else where you might listen to us, if it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I'll tag Nixon James, and you guys can, and she can hopefully give you some insight. I'm going to ask you about the probiotics thing, if you can send me the recipes.
Definitely.
I'd love to make a couple for myself.
Perfect.
And I encourage everybody to go follow Nixon James _ comes clean. And just like, yeah, like you got a lot of tips there on your page. I love your social media feed. It's got a lot of interesting stuff, and you share a lot of information, which is part of the reason why I wanted to feature you on this. And much appreciated. Keep
Thank
up doing
you.
the good work.
Thanks for asking me to join the chat.
Much love. Have a good day.
You too.
Cool. That was Nixon James _ comes clean. And that's starting out today's episode of Extraordinary People. Where